Welcome to Old Rare Files. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe, become a member, and like our content.
This medical photograph was taken in 1945. It documents the effects of thermal radiation on a human body after the nuclear explosion in Japan. The lines on the skin mark exactly where clothing protected the body and where it did not. The pattern follows the fabric. This image was used in medical research for decades. It is also one of the most sobering photographs ever taken. The Golden Gate Bridge is under construction. One of its towers rises above the bay in the 1930s. Workers climbed that structure every day. Winds were strong. The water below was cold and fast. 19 men died building this bridge. When it opened in 1937, over 200,000 people walked across it on the first day. These soldiers are wearing inflatable suits. The year is somewhere during World War I. Military engineers believed these padded, air-filled vests could protect against shrapnel. They were wrong. The suits were cumbersome, hot, and did not stop fragments moving at high velocity. They were abandoned before reaching widespread use, but someone spent real time and real money designing them. Armed men and police face each other on a European street. The year is the 1970s. Urban political violence was a defining feature of this decade across Italy, Germany, Spain, and elsewhere. Radical groups carried out bombings, assassinations, and kidnappings. This photograph captures one moment in a conflict that lasted years and left hundreds dead. A city official is crouching down on a beach, measuring a woman's swimsuit with a ruler. The hemline must not rise too high. This is an actual law enforcement activity in the early 20th century in the United States. Officers were assigned to patrol beaches for indecent exposure. The definition of indecent included knee exposure. This is Harry Houdini. He is covered in chains. His expression is calm. Houdini built his career on escaping from exactly this kind of restraint. Locks, handcuffs, water tanks, buried coffins. He made the impossible look routine. He also never revealed how most of it was done. He died in 1926, and some of his secrets died with him. Look at this woman crossing the finish line. Her name is Betty Robinson. She was 16 years old, and in 1928 she became the first woman in history to win an Olympic gold medal in the 100 meters. Nobody expected her to be there. She had only been running competitively for a few months before the games. She won anyway. Soldiers are leaning over the railing of a ship, waving and shouting. The war is over. They are going home. This photograph was taken in the 1940s as troops returned from Europe or the Pacific. The men in this image spent years away. Some of them lost friends they will never stop thinking about. But in this moment, none of that is visible, only the relief. This is Barack Obama. The photo was taken in Kenya in the 1980s. He is a young man visiting his father's homeland for the first time. He is standing next to a local woman, smiling. Nobody in this photo knows he will become the 44th President of the United States. He barely knows it himself. The woman on the left is Anna Haining Bates. She stands over 7 feet tall. The man beside her is her husband, Martin Van Buren Bates. He is also over 7 feet tall. They met, fell in love, and performed together across Europe and North America. Crowds paid to see them. Newspapers called them giants. They called each other family. Walt Disney is standing next to a large, colorful map. It shows the layout of a place that does not exist yet. The year is somewhere before 1955. He is pointing at the future. Disneyland would open that year in Anaheim, California, and change the entertainment industry permanently. In this photo, it is still just a drawing on a board. This Ford automobile has a completely transparent roof made of glass. The year is 1947. Ford engineers were experimenting with panoramic visibility. The idea was appealing in theory. In practice, the glass turned the interior into a greenhouse. Heat, glare, and structural cost ended the project before it reached production. This prototype is the only one that ever existed. Two men are shaking hands and smiling. One is Gerald Ford. The other is Leonid Brezhnev. The year is somewhere in the 1970s. These two men represented countries with enough nuclear weapons to end civilization. Their handshakes were not courtesy, they were negotiations. Every smile in a photograph like this one was earned through months of difficult work behind closed doors. Dozens of people are seated at a long formal table. The banner reads, "Welcome Corky. Someone important has arrived, and the city's elite has gathered to celebrate." The table is set perfectly, every glass polished, every chair filled. This is what power looked like in the early 20th century. Formal, deliberate, and always well-dressed. This skull has a hole in it. It was made on purpose. The procedure is called trepanation, and humans have been performing it for at least 10,000 years. The hole was drilled or scraped through the bone to relieve pressure, treat headaches, or release what ancient people believed were spirits. The remarkable thing is how many of these skulls show evidence of healing. The patient survived. A crowd has gathered around a police car on a European street. The year is the 1930s. Something has happened, an arrest, an accident, an investigation. The people pressing in from all sides are not afraid. They are curious. Public order was visible and physical in this era. When the police appeared, so did the crowd. Massive wooden crates are stacked as far as the camera can see. This is a military supply depot during World War II. The scale of the war required an industrial operation that had never existed before. Factories ran day and night, ships crossed oceans constantly, and yet there was still so much material that some of it never reached the front. It just sat here in piles. A worker stands inside a zoo enclosure, pouring water for a group of penguins. The facility is basic. The walls are concrete. The penguins look confused. This is how zoos operated in the early 20th century. Good intentions, limited knowledge. It would take decades before science caught up with the ambition. A family moves through Paris on a bicycle with a trailer attached for the child. The year is the 1930s. Automobiles exist, but most families cannot afford them. This bicycle setup is an engineering solution built out of necessity. The parents do not look like they are suffering. They look like they are going somewhere. A woman is helping a man bathe in a small basin at home. The water has been heated and carried by hand. There is no accessible bathroom. This is caregiving before the infrastructure existed to support it. Millions of families managed this way for decades. The labor involved was enormous and almost entirely invisible. This space capsule is on display behind a rope barrier. Its surface is scorched. The heat shield is damaged. It has been to space and come back. Everything about its appearance says it barely survived. This is what the space race actually looked like up close. Not clean, not elegant, just metal and fire and someone willing to climb inside. Look at these women walking. The year is the 1920s. A decade earlier, they would not have dressed like this. Light fabrics, wide-brim hats, shorter hemlines, something had shifted. Women were moving through cities differently now, more freely, more visibly. This photo captures that change in a single afternoon stroll. On a residential street in the United States, there is a scale model of the USS Enterprise. It is the 1960s. Star Trek has been on television for a short time, and someone built this by hand and placed it outside. Science fiction was no longer just stories. It was becoming a way of life for a dedicated group of people who believed the future was coming. A ship's deck is covered in thick ice. The crew is breaking it with axes and rods. This is a polar expedition from the early 20th century. Ice accumulates fast in those latitudes. If enough builds up on the hull and deck, the ship loses stability and capsizes. This was not a dramatic scene for the men in it. It was Tuesday. Horse-drawn carriages still fill the street. But look closely. There are also streetcar rails on the road. This American city is caught between two eras. The old and the new are sharing the same block. This kind of image was only possible for a brief window of time, and someone had a camera. A bodybuilder flexes on a stage in front of a large crowd of women. The audience reacts with enthusiasm. This was the 1900s or early 20s. Bodybuilding was new. The idea that physical strength could be a performance, a spectacle, something an audience would pay to see, was still being invented. This crowd helped invent it. A woman is standing in front of an early washing machine. She is feeding laundry into a hand-cranked rower. Before this machine existed, washing clothes meant hours of scrubbing by hand. This device cut that time significantly. It was not automatic. It was not convenient by modern standards, but for the woman in this photo, it was extraordinary. A father and his son are walking down a dirt road. Neither is in a hurry. There is nothing dramatic in this frame. No war, no disaster, no famous face. Just a man teaching a boy how to walk through the world. This is the kind of photo that gets overlooked. It should not be. Children and adults are pushing a heavy iron roller across a dirt road. There is no engine, no vehicle, just human effort and a metal cylinder. This is how roads were built in the early 20th century in many parts of the world. Every meter of flat surface cost someone hours of physical labor. Two men are seated at a table covered with documents. Their posture is serious. Neither is smiling. Whatever is being discussed in this room will not stay in this room. Political meetings like this once shaped alliances, ended careers, and sometimes changed borders. The papers on the table matter more than the handshake. Uniforms, honor guards, and a crowd in the background. This is an official ceremony from the 1930s or 40s. Every detail has been arranged with precision. These events were not just diplomatic, they were performances, a way of showing the world that order existed even when it did not. A woman in a swimsuit stands at the edge of a diving board. The pool is crowded. The year is the 1930s. Someone nearby has a camera. She notices. She poses. This is a small, ordinary moment. But it is also a portrait of a decade when public leisure was becoming something new. Women were visible in public spaces in ways they had not been a generation earlier. Students sit in rows at wooden desks. A teacher stands at the front. This is a mid-20th century classroom. The desks face forward. The students do not speak. The exam is the only thing that matters today. This model of education assumed that discipline produced learning. It produced compliance. That is a different thing. This baby is holding a teddy bear. That might seem ordinary now, but it was not always. The teddy bear became widely popular in the early 1900s, named after President Theodore Roosevelt. Before that, children's toys were mostly functional or educational. This photo is evidence of something new, the idea that childhood deserved softness. This is the Eiffel Tower. But look at the gate in the foreground. It frames the tower like a painting. Ordinary Parisians pass by without looking up. For them, this monument is just part of the street. The tourists stare, the locals walk. That contrast has existed for over a century. This machine is moving slowly down a city street. It has a mechanical arm, brushes, and a storage system. It is one of the earliest street cleaning vehicles ever built. Before this, city streets were cleaned by hand or not at all. Running water, waste collection, and machines like this one were the foundations of modern urban life. This mother is carrying her child in a blanket tied across her body. The technique keeps the baby close, warm, and secure while her hands stay free. Indigenous communities used this method for centuries before baby carriers became a consumer product. The bond it creates is not symbolic, it is physical, constant. Look at this structure. In daylight, you can see its original colors and the wear of decades. It is a funhouse facade from a vintage amusement park. The exaggerated face, the faded paint, the distorted smile. These parks were built to thrill and unsettle at the same time. They succeeded on both counts. These athletes lined up before the race wearing hand-sewn numbers on simple uniforms. No sponsorships, no high-tech gear, just fabric and ambition. Track and field was turning into a global sport, and these men knew it. Every face in this photo is focused on the same thing. This stone carving is known as altar Q. It sits in Copan, in what is now Honduras, and it was carved in the 8th century. Every figure on it represents a ruler of the Maya dynasty. It is a royal record in stone, 17 kings carved side by side, passing power from one generation to the next. The Maya did not write history, they built it. This is a complete official record. Name, Herman. Species, cat. It includes age, physical markings, and a paw print used as a signature. Herman was a working ship cat employed at a port facility. His job was rodent control. His paperwork was apparently non-negotiable. Port authorities treated him like any other crew member because, in a way, he was.